Your touch made it complicated. It got me wanna feel you daily. I get weak, babe. Weak down to my bone. Weak down to my bone. Oh, weak down to my bone. So I had to write it, babe. Write it. Sing it to you in a song. Sing it to you in a song. Sing it to you in a song.
Wave and say hi, you never look my way. I don't exist in your world, cause you don't notice me. I'm not your type of guy, I'm not your type of dude. You think I'm just a jerk and you think I'm so untrue. I guess my problem is I'm just a party kid. I live my life on stage, the world is just my audience. My life, it really sucks. I'm kinda like a jerk. Nothing I ever do wherever seems to work. In high school was a problem, I acted like a jerk. I partied straight through college, never did my work. I never went to prom, I couldn't get a day. Girls wouldn't talk to me, I couldn't get the time of day. My life, it really sucks. I'm kinda like a jerk. Nothing I ever do wherever seems to work. I tried to work a job, I had to pick up 2 or 3, but I'm a slacker. My boss just wants to fire me, so you treat me like I'm trash, the type you throw away. I throw my life away every time you walk away. You never wave and say hi, you never look my way. I don't exist in your world, cause you don't notice me. I'm not your type of guy, I'm not your type of dude. You think I'm just a jerk and you think I'm so untrue. I guess my problem, you think I'm so uncool. Life can't bring the heart in.
Taking in the moment and see what tomorrow brings. So let's just stress the BS, but don't get carried away.
It's been too long.
It's a new day and a new me. New day. I said it's a new day and a new me.
Ain't lying. Catch the these horns making me leaner towards my southern dialect, Trick Daddy and Trina. Collide with them beach colladas, first name Pina. Head big as Gina, used to get high as Ena. Now I'm cool, sipping my coffee light on the creamers. Run with dreamers, never zeros, Gilbert arenas. That's just a play on words, I don't know that man's demeanor. I just heard it was the opposite of that of Serena's. George ran the cleaners with pressing irons and steamers. Life is all about them good times, dodging subpoenas, misdemeanors. Never had none. Give me some wood to knock on. You clocked in, I clocked out. Long as our clocks tick on. I will never judge how you get it. Ain't too many out who can outspit it. They love to holler facts, well these are them. Say you heard of jaws of life, well I am him.
Taking in the moment and see what tomorrow brings. So let's just stress the BS, but don't get carried away. It's a new day and a new me. New day. I said it's a new day and a new me.
They ask, life you still R.A.P. I said I just made it 80s, holla OMG. So you tell me, I believe I'm years from my press conference. Plus I still got some peers working on my sponsor. Ship nip tuck if I have to. That was a white lie. Life don't even do no plastic. They wanted bars, so I gave them cheers. Admit I've been wrong at times, like putting the S on the end of deer. I was in the mall, I saw the end of Sears, but it's a bright beginning. Veneers on New Year's, ideas, the wheels turn. Shot a text to Sherm, cause he always checks in with the music. He really uses it. It's a plant-based diet when I don't keep quiet. The only retired I've done is a used tire. Are you tired? Cause I'm full of spunk. Kinda get noticed in traffic now, I might get one or two humps.
Taking in the moment and see what tomorrow brings. Too less to stress the BS, but don't get carried away. It's a new day and a new me. I said it's a new day and a new me.
Excuse me, miss, but beg your pardon. Baby, where your mister? I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor, Calypso and Bacardi. I hope you like the mixture. I don't know your man, but hope he get the picture. He don't want no problems, he don't wanna risk it. I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor. Baby, beg your pardon, I'm just trying to get you naughty. Baby, have you ever partied on Calypso and Bacardi? Baby, I don't know you hardly, but I swear that it's your body. Got me feeling hella hardly. I can see you riding shoddy, prototype, it ain't no copies. I ain't worried about your man, he ain't shit because he not neat. You should probably come around and knock it down and leave you not neat. You should probably come around and knock it down and leave you. Excuse me, miss, but beg your pardon. Baby, where your mister? I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor, Calypso and Bacardi. I hope you like the mixture. I don't know your man, but hope he get the picture. He don't want no problems, he don't wanna risk it. I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor. I got my eyes on your body, I wanna see you get naughty. Got me feeling hella hardly, like some lean crack or some Molly. Didn't I see you at Follies? Haven't been there in a while, but I remember getting wild. And again, could have been cheaters or maybe it was neither. Doesn't matter where I seen ya, cause right now I'm trying to meet ya. Trying to see you dropping panties like it's Annie's in a liter. Baby, you might be a keeper, hope your man ain't trying to reach ya. Excuse me, miss, but beg your pardon. Baby, where your mister? I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor, Calypso and Bacardi. I hope you like the mixture. I don't know your man, but hope he get the picture. He don't want no problems, he don't wanna risk it. I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor. Excuse me, miss, but beg your pardon. Baby, where your mister? I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor, Calypso and Bacardi. I hope you like the mixture. I don't know your man, but hope he get the picture. He don't want no problems, he don't wanna risk it. I'm just trying to get to know and maybe then get with ya. So let's say we party and pour a little liquor.
Yo, 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 yo. Let me know if I could be heard clearly. Making sure everything is up. I wonder if all my That right there, of course, has been sounds by the N3w. And I am Side Street Kid, also known as the Effin'. You know what I mean? Probably tell by the hat, I'm Side Street Kid. You can get these too directly from me. You can DM me on Instagram, something like that, or email me at sidestreetkid at what is it? How you say email? sidestreetkid@gmail.com. Yeah, that one. You can email me there. My hats are $20. Also have tank tops that I'm pushing online right now. You probably saw the advertisement if you was watching on the N3w stream. Shout out to Echo the Goddess. She modeled the tank tops and the hats for me. Yep, tank tops are 20. We also got these elephant poo hoodies. These are 65. Shout out to Milavelli. It's the Milavelli brand, elephant poo. You know what I mean? So you can holler at me. I got these. Also, you can hit me in the DM. These are 65. So yeah, just get at me. Today's show is actually a pretty interesting show, I think. Let's see. I want to turn off my Bluetooth. So I want to see if I can hear my sound effect. But yeah, I'm gonna hold off for a minute so I can see. Yeah, man. Y'all got it. Oh, yeah, I can hear them. That's what's up. Got sound effects. Cheers. So yeah, today I want to bring on a special guest as well. If y'all been following the show, you probably know by now that I interview mostly like my friends and stuff like that. That you know, it's people that I know. It's like friends, acquaintances, business partners, things like that. But I also interview sometimes family, cousins, and stuff like that. And today, that's exactly what's going on. It's my cousin Shannon Lawrence. And like I said, I always like for the guests to be able to explain what they do for themselves and stuff like that, instead of you know, trying to explain for them, because I don't always know what everybody does. Not in detail. I might know a little bit, you know. But when it comes to Shannon, Shannon, I felt was a very interesting person. I wanted to have him on the show because he is one of the few people that I know that really understands politics the way that he does. Like, a lot of us, you know, tend to kind of just, you know, politics or whatever. We vote for the president and stuff like that, but we don't get into the nitty gritty of, like, in our community, the city, the county and stuff like that. Like, I oftentimes don't even know. I don't know who's all on the city council where I live and whatnot. And a lot of people don't. Shannon's always been a person that I think he's up on that kind of stuff. He knows, he's into it, he's active. He's active in the community. He likes to teach and inspire the youth, you know, like in a positive way, you know what I mean? And we usually don't see a lot of black men that in that light, you know what I mean? We're often depicted as, you know, these street dudes, or selling dope is the way and all of this kind of stuff, you know what I mean? But, you know, Shannon's a family man. He's in the politics. And I don't want to say too much because I might be wrong in some aspects. But you know, he works for the mayor, or you know, into politics. He also ran for city council. Like, and I just want to break it. You know, get into it with him. See if we can kind of pick his brain and maybe learn some things about how to vote and how to get into it and how to understand the politics and how to like really affect change in our communities, because we like to talk about it, but are we really about it? Do we really want to see action and stuff like that, or do we just want to talk about it? You know what I mean? And I think that if we really want to see action and see change, we have to look at it from all angles. You know what I mean? And politics is one of them. You have to be able to view it from that angle as well. So yeah. Without further ado, I would say I'm gonna go ahead and give him a ring, see if we can get him on the line real quick, like. And this is always the boggling part, because I have to find the applications and do all of this kind of stuff, but it don't take too long. Yeah, I'm not sure if we have any viewers right now, but even I have a lot of rewatch viewer, like after I upload the videos and stuff like that. Even if y'all watching after the fact, like on YouTube, you know what I mean, still comment, still say, share your thoughts on the video and stuff like that, so that we can comment. You know what I mean? Like, I'll see it. I'm sure Shannon will see it. He's in my network. Any of my guests will actually see it. You know, so yeah, you can always do that. And once again, you know, like always, like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? Don't be a hater. Why would you want to be a hater? What does that cost you to, like, if you're watching the show and you like the show, or even if you don't like the show or whatever, if you want to see it get better, if you support me, or if you not even support me, if you know me, we friends or whatever, and you know my situation, my kid, my family, whatever, why wouldn't you like it? Why wouldn't you share it? Why not? You know, like, you don't want to see me win, you don't want to see me prosper. Doesn't make sense. Anyhow, don't be a hater. Like, share, subscribe. It's simple. And it's not that I really even care about it. It's just that that's how YouTube work. They got us out here with their algorithms. We gotta ask for that kind of stuff. We need people to show that they can't just watch it. They have to show that they're watching it and show this kind of interaction. They have to comment on it and like it and share it for them to boost it, so that we can grow and more people can see it. Otherwise, they just shelve it. They just throw it to the back. Nobody ever sees it. It's like it never existed. Let's see. I'll dial him up real quick. Alright. Why is he not pulling up? Oh, there we go. Yes, sir.
What up?
Shando, what's poppin'?
Man, not much, man. How you
Coolin'.
been, man?
Man, cooling. I'm about
Yeah.
to let me set you up so I can bring you on live. They can hear you right now, but they can't see you.
Yo, what up, peoples?
What's happening? Welcome to the show. All that, gunshots in the air. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
Just trying to see if how do I get this on my laptop so I can see a little bit better. But it's technology.
Right. That's how it go. But I'm trying to get. All of this is all new to me. I gotta set all this little stuff up. All right, we got you there. Bam. All right. Yeah, we all the way live now.
Dope.
Boom. We in there. What's happening?
Man, not much. I'm just gonna readjust.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah, man. So, shit, I'm glad you finally made it on the show. I know I've been getting at you for a minute. Our schedule's been off a little bit, but
Yeah,
we here now.
yeah, man.
Yeah, that's what's up. Definitely. But yeah, man. I just wanted to. Well, first off, let me, I guess, give a brief overview of what the show is about and what why I do it and stuff. Everything. So, the show is called Think New, of course, and it is about taking things that we normally think we know about already because it's in our faces, like entertainment and what we think about celebrities or politicians, even or actors, whatever the case may be, and try to actually break some of those myths and stereotypes down and bring it into like the real world, like what's it really like, what really goes on. And
Right.
So I just thought it'd be dope to have you come on this show because I know that you're into politics. You have your own career. It's like a political career. I've watched you build it over time, and to where you are now. And I like how it's it's inspiring, especially for young people, to see someone like you that has done this and is passionate about affecting change in our communities, like on a real level, like right here in our faces. And I just wanted you to be able to maybe break down a little bit what it is that you do, and how how people can get into it, or how they can even help or be a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So right now, I'm running my own consulting firm.
Okay.
It's called N3w Consulting Group,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a couple of like three main tenets, if you will. Right. The first one is around government relations and advocacy work, community outreach. It could also be kind of summed up as some like public affairs work.
Mm-hmm.
That also includes, supporting political campaigns, whether it be managing them or managing pieces of political campaigns. The second part, or the second leg to the company's chair, so to speak, is is business development support. So for companies that need representation or need help, especially get in front of government officials, that helps them with their business development efforts while they're trying to get work, especially from the government. I am able to help them with that. Serve as a strategist, serve as a representative, as an advocate, things like that. And then the third part is actually part of it's a candidate training piece. I've been involved in politics and in campaigns in particular for, about 25 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think I mentioned to you before, man, politics to me is a lot like hip hop, and it's a lot like sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, everyone can go out on a basketball court and shoot a ball, but not everyone is going to make it to the NBA. And it still takes certain training. It takes certain dedication. It takes a certain amount of acumen. It doesn't matter how talented you are. You still have to have a certain acumen to be able to make it with the best of the best. And so, really taking that mindset, I developed a program, which is a third part of the company, that teaches people the basics that they need in order to run for office. That program is called the I Can Lead program, or Instructional Candidate Leadership. And so I'll just kind of go into it. The reason why I even created that, man, is because, like, Um, you know, our communities deserve to have representation that really serves our interest as voters, as citizens, as parents, as whatever we are. We deserve to have representation that really supports us. And all of us know someone who, is really, really smart and like, man, they would, if they were on a city council or if they were in the state legislature or if they were in Congress, because they do well, but and they may have run a couple of times, but they just don't know, and they don't know what it takes to run a successful campaign, and they don't know what it takes to win. So the whole purpose of the program is before you even decide to run, go through this boot camp, go through this training, learn what you got to learn, so that you can be properly equipped to win when you decide to run. And the other reason why that's important, man, is because you know elections really shouldn't be popularity contests specifically. If you're not interjecting real policy ideas into campaigns, then it ends up being a popularity contest, which is fine. But we all know that one popular kid at school who's popular but still take your lunch money.
Right.
And there are too many. I don't want to say it's too many, but there are enough people serving in office that are like that, and so our communities deserve better, man. And the only way we do that is if we raise the IQ of people running for office, if we raise the IQ of the electorate, and we really work to make sure that the right people are serving in office and not just popular people.
Right. Okay, so and then do you service primarily just like local, like like Los Angeles County, or do you service like anybody nationwide that's running
Anybody,
or plans to run?
yeah, I mean, naturally, someone who's in California, I would be able to be in their campaign office and really and can really serve in a more direct role. But like if someone's in another state, I mean, I have a couple of clients that are actually in Alabama that I've been able to serve as a strategic advisor for. So although I'm not physically there, you know, the expertise and experience doesn't diminish or change. Uh, at the end of the day, every single campaign is literally about, like, everything in a campaign should ultimately get to how do I engage voters to cast their vote for me at the time we've said is at the time in which we need them to cast the vote.
Right.
And the strategy behind that, I mean, the basic strategy behind that doesn't change. Now, how we go about doing it may change. Like in basketball, at the end of the day, the goal is to put the ball in the hoop.
Right.
Now, whether you want to shoot as a three-pointer or a layup or a slam dunk, or you want to run a play, all of those other variables are specific to the team and the situation. But the goal of putting the ball in the hoop doesn't change. And it's the same thing, in my opinion, when it comes down to, political consulting in particular. The goal is to get people to vote for you, and I've been around enough and seen enough situations to where, I understand what may work in Los Angeles may not work, frankly, in Carson, and what works in Carson may not work in Montgomery and may not work in Atlanta. But then there are a lot of things that will work,
Right.
And so being able to tap into those things, I think, is what I do. And I'm always learning, to be honest with you, man. I don't think it ever gets to the point where you know everything. I'm always learning from one campaign to the next. So,
What campaigns have you worked on like so far? Like, I guess I'm sure you worked on a lot, but like notable, like, what notable campaigns have you worked on so far, or at this point?
uh, so I mean, naturally, I guess starting back to when we all had to do some level of campaign work when I worked for the governor of Alabama.
Okay.
With volunteering, but gosh, that's.
Well, I guess, yeah. Let me stop there because I jumped to that question because it's something you said earlier. I was holding on to it,
Right.
but you probably cover it if I just ask, how did you get started into it, like in the
Right.
first place?
So it's crazy, man, because I probably got started when I was like real talk around maybe 10 or 12 years old.
Which I remember.
You know, growing up in Gardena, California, which is in LA County. For those of you who are listening and don't know, Gardena it's an incorporated city within the county of Los Angeles. It's one of 88 incorporated cities within the county of Los Angeles. Growing up in Gardena, we had never had a black person on the city council. And so like my first introduction was, I remember there was a guy named Ali Hadley who was running. And the whole black community like really got behind him. And that was the first time I saw my mom really getting involved, right? Like going to meetings and stuff like that. And I was like, what is this about? And that's when she kind of broke a lot of stuff down to me. And then she put it in context with our family's history of our roots being in Lowndes County, and like why being active and being connected to the civil rights movement and all of these other things. And so it felt more like a duty more than anything else. Like, it just felt like this is what we do, right? So, we did that, and then I guess my first like real campaign was when I was in high school. Still hadn't had a black person in the city council. Guy, his name was Steve Bradford, who's currently in the California State Senate, was running for city council when I was in high school. And I remember as a 16-year-old, and taking a bunch of voter registration cards and taking them to every single senior in high school that was going to be 18, saying, "Look, man, this is important. You're going to be able to vote. Fill it out. Let's get this done."
And this is when you was a senior, or you was younger than that at the time?
No, I was like a sophomore.
You was a sophomore, but you was already pumping to the seniors like, y'all need to get ready.
Yeah, because it was that important, right? Also, I did door knocking for him, and I was a kid, right? But I knew that it was important to have representation that looked like me on the city council. Someone who who literally grew up in the same neighborhood as me, because the thought is that he would inherently be able to represent my interests as a young adult becoming an adult, right? And he did. He eventually got elected, and he did serve in that capacity and did it really, really well, to the point to where people promoted him to the state legislature to continue to represent in his interest. Moving on, went away to college, went to Alabama State University in Montgomery. And this was my first and this was, I think, one of the first lessons in politics, right? Here I am, this kid from Los Angeles in Montgomery, Alabama, at a historically black college. And, I think I'm smart. I think I'm talented. I think I have the pedigree. So I'm running for freshman class president, right? And I ran, and I lost. But not just lost, I lost bad, right? I think I had like 30 votes or something like that. But this was a crazy part. The guy who won was white.
At Alabama State. Wow.
Right.
That's
and
crazy.
At Alabama State, it was like maybe, and I'm not exaggerating when I say maybe 50 white students. Maybe.
That sounds about right.
And so, and I remember thinking as an 18-year-old, 17, 18-year-old freshman, like, okay, I get it. Maybe I didn't win because I just don't know enough people. Most of the people that go here are from the state of Alabama. They're friends. But I get it. Like, there's some realities that I didn't understand is how the white guy won, right? It wasn't more pop. Like, it boggled my mind. And I was like, and I started thinking about it. And then, naturally, the vote was split. There wasn't enough, campaign time. That was a popularity contest, right? Like, you vote for freshman class president within the first 2 weeks of arriving on campus. The first week is freshman presentation. Like, if you don't know, like, unless you're like that guy.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, like you just came in as that dude. But yeah, that's crazy.
So, but anyway, I stayed involved like with student government politics, just volunteering with different SGA administrations, things like that. And then eventually, man, I ended up meeting LaTosha Brown. Random in the airport one day. Was like, yo, This is before she was the Latasha Brown of Black Voters Matter, right? She was just Tasha from Selma, right? Who's that's just what it was.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, kind of met her in the airport, and she was telling me she was working on the Jubilee celebration, which is an annual bridge crossing commemoration down in Selma.
Which is that. Did you go with us that time we went down there and performed?
Yeah, I was down there. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
I think it was through you. Kind of hooked everything up, right? Like with her, and I remember she was organizing it. Yeah. That's hot. Okay.
And so, but it was crazy, right? So I remember, I met her. I was like, I'm a college student. Let me know if I could be of any help. Because the family's from right there in Lowndes County. So like Selma, they like kinfolk adjacent, right? As far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so she was like, yeah. So she gave me tasks and things to do. I did them. She asked me to do some other things. I did them. But anyway, it ended up organizing like some students to help go down and volunteer. But that actually led to me, that experience with Jubilee. It led her to recommend me for an internship in the state Senate with Senator Sanders.
Okay.
And so I took it. I remember I was working at FedEx at the time, and I was going to be. I thought I was like being selected to go into the management training program. I was being groomed. Because I was about to graduate college. Yada yada yada. And I was like, leave it to take this internship. Now, mind you, for the record, had I stayed, I'll be eligible to retire right now.
Yeah, for real.
But be that as it may, life happens, and I took the internship because I thought it was a good experience. Worked there for a year, and I'll tell you this for any of the young folks that are watching. One of the things that my mom always really instilled in me is be professional, be courteous, like be all of these things, right? And it's not a matter of like not keeping it real, but like make that your real, right? And so I remember, every single day I would go to the office, and I was going into the office whenever I wasn't in class, right? So, and every single day I had on a shirt and tie, I had on slacks, I had on shoes every day, right?
Yeah, this was high school, right? It started in high school.
No. I was in college at this time.
Oh, because I remember in high school at a certain point when you was going to Gardena, you was like, I'm going to start dressing for success.
Yeah, it's funny because I was in high school. I did rock neckties.
Yeah, the ties and everything. Yep.
But I think a lot of that though too, man, was because to be honest with you, kid, it was easier for me. Like I wasn't that cool cat, right? I wasn't trendy like that because moms wasn't having it. I remember everyone was wearing like used and damaged across. The moms was like, nope. And so I was like,
that was pretty much our family. We had to battle with the elders about the fashion because remember the overalls. If you took that strap on, we used to get in trouble for that. I got in trouble for break dancing. I got in trouble for all kind of stuff.
No, I remember. No, I'm gonna tell you a break dance. Remember, was at that family reunion, and I did a headspin, and my grandma came and knocked me over.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I got the footage. I gotta show you. I got the footage right now of that family reunion where we got in trouble for that.
Yeah, man. But Kenny had us out there doing a new edition routine.
Yep. I got all of that. I'm about to put that up somewhere.
No, but so I was in college, anyway, interned for him for a year, and then like literally like a year later, almost to the day, man, he called me in his office, was like, hey, the internship is up. I don't really, I see what I can do. The next day, I get a phone call from the governor's office, and they're offering me a job, But what I didn't know, and this is for the young folks especially, what I didn't know is that year that I was interning, where it just seemed like I was just going, they were watching me the whole time. They were watching how I conducted myself. They were watching how I even little things, right? Like in terms, they're watching how do I conduct, like how do I handle myself at a business lunch? A couple of folks would take me to like these really like it was at the time was the Capital City Club, and one of the rules was you've got to wear a sport coat. So they're watching like does he is he able to operate in this space without being told how to operate in this space, right? But that ended up leading to getting a job in the governor's office where I worked in the finance department where I learned a lot about state finance and options. I mean, just all kind of stuff, right? And then we lost re-election. I worked for about a year and a half until we lost the re-election. I moved back to Los Angeles where I began working in the labor movement for SEIU. And it started off like as a field organizer, but that was never really my passion, right? I mean, like I'm passionate about the workers, but the actual getting out the organizing part, it really wasn't something that's not what woke me up in the morning. What woke me up in the morning was the idea of improving these people's lives. But I always saw that through the lens of politics. And so eventually I ended up, working in a political capacity, as a political coordinator, running campaigns. And so getting back to the initial question you asked me, how many, it's like there's a lot and a lot of notable ones and there are different aspects of the campaign, right? I've done independent expenditures for candidates and issues, helped our members go through interview processes and deciding with different politicians. Just to kind of put it interesting, like I remember one time, and this is when it hit me. Jerry Brown, the former governor, right? He was running for attorney general,
and this is California,
right? And he was coming to meet our members to interview for their endorsement, right? And he called my cell phone because I was the contact person, right? And I was like, wait a minute. The youngest governor ever in the state of California, like I got his number. This is dope.
He just called my cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
But in all of that, man, so I've worked a lot of different campaigns, like from statewide offices in some capacity, all the way down to a local school board election, right? Just got off a campaign for a state assembly race. I did a state senate race before that. I haven't really worked directly on a presidential yet, mostly because I was always like working an actual job. So, and those are jobs in and of itself. But I'm pretty sure presidential may not be far off at some point for me. This depends on what capacity. So anyway, worked in labor, running political campaigns, and then what was really interesting, man, is I didn't realize all of that experience really lended itself to one of my more recent jobs was working for a large international infrastructure construction firm, where a huge reason why I got the job, frankly, was because of my political relationships. Because I had worked with so many folks and really understood especially how LA politics works and who the power brokers are, who the power centers are. And not just knowing who they are, but being able to really contact them, right? And that's when I began to see, okay, even outside of actual electoral politics, people with money understand how politics works and are willing to tap into you for your expertise to help them to be able to help them leverage themselves to be able to win large contracts and things like that. So, and then as COVID hit, it just created an opportunity. Being a homeboy, it created opportunity for me to do what I'm doing now, and that's running an actual consulting firm, working with candidates, working with businesses, working with whoever sees value and understand whoever sees value in being able to leverage politics for their good or for their interests.
So it's not always somebody running for office.
No, not. I mean, no, it's not always. And politics isn't just about elected office, but there's understanding the political game. All you also have to understand community folks. You have to understand community issues. You got to understand how policy works, right? So many, working with nonprofits. There's so many other aspects to it besides politics that we see every single day. So,
Right, right. That's what's up. So, I wanted to get to that too. I also wanted to ask you, because you've run for certain. Well, what
right.
office did you run for? What did you?
Gardena City Council.
City council.
Yep.
Okay. Can you kind of go into that a little bit, like what the process was like and what prompted you to run and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff?
So I'll tell you, the first time I ran was in 2008. It was a special election, and what prompted it, frankly, was there was a council member who resigned abruptly. He had some personal issues that became some legal issues, and so he resigned. So that basically, so he wouldn't be arrested on the dais.
So was he was just kind of corrupt, or he was just under investigation?
Nah, he had some issues. He had done some things in his personal life that he knew he was gonna go to jail for. So it wasn't a corruption issue. It wasn't like a political
It
corruption.
wasn't a city thing. It was a personal thing.
No, it was a personal thing. Yeah, and I don't want to. It's.
I got you. Yeah.
But so nonetheless, one of the incumbent city council members was when this person resigned. One of the remaining council members was asked by the paper, "Hey, what do you think about this? And like, who do you see next?" And they was like, "Oh, Shannon Lawrence." What? Yeah. So, because I got a phone call saying, "Yeah, your name may be in the paper tomorrow." Just as an FYI.
So you kind of got nominated for it. It wasn't like it just came out of nowhere. Like you got nominated. Somebody suggested you run or take his place.
Yeah, and so but also I have really been trying to position myself too. I mean, it was no doubt that I had an interest in running. I mean, what I didn't mention is growing up in Gardena, man. I served on the youth commission when I was like 16 years old. Like I'd always been involved in the city, and so it wasn't a surprise. People would try to be like, "Well, you're not really from here." Well, what makes you say that? Because you just moved back. I went to college.
Right.
Like, I was in college. Like, what do you mean I'm not from here? Well, you can't be. Why? Because I never heard of you before. That's your problem. But everybody right here seems to know who I am. So, but that's all part of the political stuff, though, too. I mean, folks gonna do anything they.
I mean, because you went to Gardena High. You graduated from Gardena High.
Right. So
if that ain't Gardena enough, I don't know what is.
Right. But so the bottom line is that it was a special election, and ironically, I was working for the mayor at the time. So the process for me, the mayor of Los Angeles. So the process for me was, naturally you have to file papers, you got to raise money, you got to get endorsements and support, you got to, knock on doors. And so, first things first, man, is, you got to hire, you got to file papers with the city, that, nomination papers, and you got to get signatures from like a certain amount of people who say, we vouch for this guy running for office, right? And then you got to hire a treasurer, and you got to get a bank account and all that good stuff. And then you got to start talking to people and raising money, And at the same time, you got to talk to voters. And so just the process alone, especially if you're not prepared for it, it could be really daunting. The fortunate part was I had worked on so many other campaigns, and I had friends to where it wasn't that much of it. It wasn't that I wasn't that naive to what it took, but that doesn't mean that the work wasn't there, and just to kind of put in perspective, because working for an elected official, it gets really tricky when it comes down to politics in general and campaigns. So, I couldn't, naturally during work hours, I couldn't couldn't campaign, you know. So I remember I would literally I had an hour drive in the morning after I dropped the kids off at school. I had an hour commute to get to work. And I would literally be on the phone calling, trying to get endorsements, calling, trying to raise money for that whole hour that I'm driving to work. I got an hour lunch break, right? I would leave my office and go to like a neutral spot around, somewhere in downtown, just kind of post up like at a coffee shop. And, I'm still making phone calls, trying to raise money, right? And then that's just, and it's simple. It's simple. It is as simple as, yo, kid, I'm running for office, man. Can you throw me $100, right? And you just doing that.
You just keep hounding, not hounding, but keep pounding, like any little bit, any contribution,
right?
Donation.
Yeah, and then when I got off work at 5, my routine was I get off work at 5, and I would go straight from, and I had an hour drive back home. And I was making phone calls in the car, And this was before like we had smartphones like they are now.
Yeah. I remember I donated. I think I donated 50 or something. I donated something. I don't remember.
Yeah. Man. A lot of people did. But I remember even to the point to where one of the things that I would do at night was because I already had my call list of who I want to call. So I was programming their phone numbers in my phone. So I don't look for if I had a sheet and I had like 10 names on it, okay, Stan Johnson, go to Stan, call him. Because, you just got to set those systems up to make sure that you are as prepared as possible and efficient as possible. But nonetheless, I was calling all the way till I would get home, and then I'd have a walk sheet with voters' names. As soon as I get to the neighborhood, park my car, get out, now I'm knocking on doors. Hey, Ms. Johnson, I'm Shannon, I'm running for office. Really would love to have your vote. And I would literally be knocking until, as cliche as it sounds, until the streetlights come on, right? Until people are like, hey, yeah, man, it's late. Can you just come back tomorrow? But that's the stuff that you got to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I ended up not winning that election. I keep saying that I think I'm the only Black person in America that lost an election with Barack Obama on the ballot. Because it's like, Black turnout was so high in that election, man.
Yeah.
But, it is what it is. It was a good lesson learned.
What do you think was the reason, like, looking back on it, like, if that version of you came into your consulting firm today, what would you tell him to do? My gap, honestly, I was prideful. I lost my pride. There was another person in the race who was in the same neighborhood. She was very loved in the whole nine. And some of the community elders was like, yo, we can't support both of y'all. Will one of y'all consider dropping out? And I was like, nope. Nope. It's like, okay, fine. Well, then they was like, well, I'll tell you what. Would one of you consider dropping out? And, we all throw our support behind whoever stays in. And then when the next one comes around, we'll all throw our support because it's an alternating cycle. Right.
Like, so Shannon, would you be down with that and help us support? And I was like, this was pride. Nope. Because I took it personal. So she ended up staying in the race, and it split the vote of a huge voter block in the city. It just split the vote, right? But for me, one of the things, and the pride came in because I took it personal that she was even in the race. And because, like, in my own head, I was like, how dare you run against me? Do you know how dope I am? Like, and that was my naive, prideful 28-year-old mind who just had not lived enough life yet to these things personal, right? I just didn't have the experience. And and I think back on it, man, I really wish I would have had somebody in my ear that could really coach me through coached me through that situation.
Right.
You know, but I didn't. And all I could do is just sit back and now try to help my clients not make prideful decisions like that. And it's not hard because I'm telling you, man, like when you run for office, it's hard not to take it personal. Like because you have so many people in your ear telling you how dope you are, right? And just as human beings, like there's not a human being on earth that doesn't like being told they're dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when you hear it enough, you begin to believe it. And if it goes unchecked, you begin to think that everybody should feel that way about you, right? And because our ego is like it's almost like a drug in and of itself in terms of and feeding it, right? It could really become it can, like, I heard a preacher say that that the one unforgivable sin is pride, because pride is the root of every other sin, right? And when we think about that, in politics in particular, pride has been the downfall of just about every single politician. Like whatever it is that they do, you can link it back to pride. And candidate, pride can tank your campaign. Not arrogance, not naivete, pride. I am too good to. It all comes down to how we, and you want someone to have pride in themselves, but you don't want them to be prideful.
Right.
And I was prideful. And that's what cost me that election. It had nothing to do with the work. It had nothing to do with the amount of money I raised. And some people will be like, "Well, that's not true." No, I'm telling you, like I was there. It was my pride that cost me that.
Because you feel like it would have worked out better if you would have joined in on her campaign, helped supported her, and then turned around and ran the next turn.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But for me, and at that time, my prideful mind said, I'm too good for you not to roll with me. And so if you're not smart enough to see what I see in me, shame on you. Instead of being strategic. But I'm going to tell you this. In my experience as a consultant, candidates, like every single candidate in every single campaign, will face something that they either don't want to do, they've never done before, something that scares them. And they'll never say, I'm scared. But that moment that they face it head on is the moment that their campaign usually turns around for the better. Because facing that fear humbles you. And once you get that humble spirit in you, it becomes a lot easier to serve and for other people to see you as a servant. You know what I'm saying?
Right, because at the end of the day, that's what the job requires.
Right. We think about the different, like even like when we think about a Barack Obama, right? And this is, and not everyone every successful politician that's in it, that's been in it for a long, you can draw back to their, what I'm going to call Barack Obama moments, right? When we think about Barack Obama, we think about someone who, I think about that. There's a clip of him. There are two in particular that I think about that really epitomize who he was as a person and as a man, that really reflected how he led as president, right? One of them is he was walking to Marine One's helicopter. And typically, the president, there's a Marine standing by at the bottom of the steps, and because he's a commander in chief, they salute the commander in chief. they salute him back, right? Because it's protocol, military protocol, right? Well, he got on Marine One and he didn't salute him, and it wasn't intentional. It was just his mind just wasn't there, and he got on. He got back off to come down to salute the soldier properly. He could have easily, like, I'm the president, man, bump that, but he didn't. He was like, no. I'm going to respect him the same way. I'm going to give him the same respect that he gave me, even though I'm the president. And the second one, I think, is a picture. Like there's a few actual moments when, like, it may have been raining when they got off the plane, and he will make sure that a Valerie Jarrett or Michelle Obama or his children, but he would make sure that they had umbrellas, even if that meant he walking in the rain. And what that says is he's not so high on the position that he holds to where the people that mean the most to him, that he still can't take care of those people. You know what I mean? And we could juxtapose that with other presidents who shall remain nameless, who, it was all about this, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, and everyone around me should recognize who I am, regardless of what I do, what I say, and how I treat them. You get a couple of lucky ones that get into office, but for the most part, that's not the vast majority of politicians. The vast majority of people that are serving in office, the vast majority are people that are more like a Barack Obama and not like the other archetype. Case in point, you may have, think about this, right? When you look at Congress today, you may have one Marjorie Taylor Greene who everyone thinks is crazy as all get out, or some people, not everybody, a lot of people, a significant enough amount of people. But you still got 434 other Congress members who are not like that, who are not threatening other Congress members, who are not bringing guns in. And so, you have anomalies, but they should not be a reflection of the majority of the people that were elected to serve. And so I guess I say that to say, having a couple of anomalies who serve as bad examples in office should never stop someone from civic engagement by thinking that they're all corrupt, because they're not. They're just not. Think about this, man. We have, in LA County alone, it's about 80 cities. That means it's 80 mayors. It's like over a couple of hundred, city council members. Mm-hmm. And they're all elected. These are all politicians. You don't hear about scandals like that, because the vast majority of them, the overwhelming majority of them, really are in it for the right reasons. So,
so do you think that the disconnect with, like, the black community is in the fact that we tend not to vote or be involved in local politics?
I would say not just the black community, but in all of our communities, but particularly in the black community, I think, because there is a level of mistrust there, right? Mm-hmm. If we go back just, 50, 60 years, oftentimes the smartest person in a community was the preacher, right? Who we didn't, but they were also the most trusted, and they also often served as either advisors to politicians, or they served in political offices themselves. You know what I mean? And preachers are just as susceptible to pride as regular people, And so there are, unfortunately, some bad examples of communities being taken for granted. But I also think, honestly, a huge reason for the disconnect, I think it comes down to, is we're just not exposed early enough, right? Mm-hmm. We allow people who just don't trust any system. We allow them often to have too large of a voice in talking about the political system as bad, and it's easy to hear especially when you're young, and when they begin to say it, and if that's one of the first things you hear about politics is that all politicians are corrupt, it's all bad, it's all a setup, then as an adult, you're going to really believe that. And then it becomes easy to just not participate. You know, like, you know, I find that I was personally really disappointed in this last election cycle when, like, Shaquille O'Neal and Snoop both came out. I was like, this is going to be my first election. And I was disappointed because, like, the disappointment came because I would have thought that, you know, because they're wealthy, because they have all these influences around them, that they would have been engaged in the process, if nothing else but to protect their own interests, whether it be their wealth, their careers, whatever. But for some reason, no one in their circle or no party is ever like, yo, let me put you on game. Right. And it was disappointing, right? You know, I remember, and so the other part to that is that, let me just ask you, man, like, do you remember how many semesters of government you had when you was in high school?
None.
Right. Well, it's a like it's
high school I had none. I took state and government once in college.
Right. And like when we think about like the two things that really rule this world are politics and money. Economics and government are like a one semester class your senior year. That those things should be taught when we're like in junior high school.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, man, but like civic engagement and understanding financial principles, those are not too difficult of concepts for children to learn. Nah. But I also think that folks, but when we think about who is it that creates education policy, like who is it that says this is what their standard curriculum is in order for your high school diploma to be recognized?
Well, that's like the state, right? The state school board.
Well, who's the state?
Elected officials.
So if you have people in office that are trying to protect their own interests, then of course they're going to create policy. And I'm not saying that it's happening like that today, but back then when it was done, of course it was done to protect their interests. Even, and they may never say it that way. They may never say it that directly, but you know, sinister policies are never direct. It's always buried in other stuff and other reasons, right? Now people are starting to get hip to it, and we're trying to uncover that stuff in order to make education more practical and more equitable and more accessible. But we're talking about having to undo generations of bad public policy that have kept our communities poor and ignorant and naive and in the dark, you know? So, but I do think it starts with the fact that like we're not teaching it early enough, and then we're also not engaging people. Like we're not having conversations around politics just in the neighborhood. We're just not, right? I mean, like when I think about hip hop, right? Grandmaster Flash with The Message, that was political rap when you think about it, right? Yeah. That was just a hip hop. That was political rap, but yet we don't call it that. We call it, well, it back then was just hip hop, right? But then we think about in the '90s, right? If anyone was talking about anything that seemed other than sex, guns, drugs, money, oh, they're a conscious rapper. That's in that box. That doesn't get radio airplay. That's, you know what I mean? And it's like, nah, man, like, no, that's actually reality, right? And don't get me wrong, like, I love listening to just dope lyricists who can just spit. But I also love dope lyricists who are talking about stuff, right? That's what makes, like, the RZA so dope, right? Is because he's talking about stuff. That's what makes, like, to me, that's what makes Lecrae a dope artist, because he talks about his reality and that, you know, his belief in God, stuff like that, right? That's what makes you a dope rapper, right? Is because you talk about stuff. I mean, I've been in your writing sessions, you know what I mean? Where we're going through ideas, and then next thing you know, it ends up in a song. And yeah, I know you got your party stuff, but that's not all you got.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of rounded out.
You know, but the bottom line is that we don't talk about these things enough. in our communities. And even like we think about it, like even in the barbershop, and I haven't been in a while because I cut my own hair, but just even like in our barbershops, when we talk about politics, it's often from a very gossipy standpoint, but not from a brother, let's build, right? Like it's easy to say, like, it's easy to drive down your city and be like, man, how come we can't get a KFC right here on this corner? It's been sitting empty for years. Well, here's the thing. One, is that corner even zoned for commercial? You know what I mean? And if it's not zoned for commercial, how do we get it zoned for commercial? Because KFC is not going, or anybody is not going to even start to looking at investing in your community if the zoning isn't right. But if we don't understand that and we're not having those conversations, then how will somebody know, right? I served on the planning commission for 10 years in Gardena while I was running for office a couple of times. And I remember plenty of times people would say to me, they would ask, how come we don't have this? How come we don't have that? It's not zoned for that. Well, what's that mean? That means that as a city, we determine how the city's going to be laid out for safety reasons, for just flow of traffic reasons, a lot of different reasons why. It could be for environmental reasons, but if we have to know how these processes work in order to be able to change them. And we don't have those conversations, right? We just don't. And I think that we've got to figure out how do we educate more people and educate more influencers so that they can really change the discussion, right, especially our communities.
That's what I was going to ask too. I also want to jump in real quick and just say for everybody out there watching, especially on YouTube and stuff later, just like, share, and subscribe. You know what I mean? I'm talking with Shannon Lawrence. He is owner of, how do you put it?
The name of the company is Inkwell Consulting Group, LLC.
Inkwell Consulting Group, LLC.
Yeah, right. And we're a government relations, public affairs, political consultant.
Right. So, yeah, we chopping it up right now about how we can really affect change in our communities through education first. But, you know what I mean? If you're out there and you digging with, you rocking with the podcast, like, share, and subscribe. But, so what I was going to ask you is how, because like when I first got into music, like trying to, like wanting to be a rapper, it was definitely not because I thought I was the biggest drug dealer ever. You know what I mean? It was like, that wasn't what rap was at the time when I was a kid. I looked up to them more as people, they were like politicians in our generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The Chuck D's, the X-Clans, the Ice Cubes, even Redmans, and all of these people, Tupac. And I felt like that was one of the most powerful ways to be like an influencer for change, like for the better at the time. Now, not so much. It's still there, but like you said, it became a thing. Like all of this gets thrown in the box, and now it's this kind of rap. Like, and I do feel like that happens a lot. I think it's all connected. Is what I'm trying to get at. Is that it's the fact that these people are elected officials that control certain things. That's why it's like a rift in between. Like when you saw Tupac clashing with the elders like C. Dolores Tucker and stuff like that. When you look back at it now as an adult, I don't see it the same.
Right.
I see it now as a breakdown in communication between the youth and the elders, which is still kind of prevalent. You
right.
know what I mean? I wanted to know what like if you had any thoughts on how to best go about educating the youth in terms of things like politics and how to change, how to get involved in their communities and where to start. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are your ideas on that?
Well, I mean, I think one, we have to recognize that every single person has an issue, right? And you know, in order for someone to even be open to being educated, they have to see a reason why education is going to make their life better, right? Um, you know, and so that's one, and even just recognizing that, like, you know, recognizing where people are, you know, but I think if we're gonna really kind of take it head on, you know, we have to be those of us that do know, we can't be afraid to engage politicians. We can't be afraid to write letters, send emails, make phone calls, and say, you know, I want to see this happen. I want to see this change. I'm a voter. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a parent. I'm a whatever it is. I want to see this change. And believe it or not, one letter makes a difference, right? Because when you look at one letter, depending on who you're writing it to, could represent a block, or it could represent 5,000, 10,000, you know, residents, right? And that's the way they look at it. There's a multiplier effect to every single letter and email that you send. Now, if you send one and you got two of your friends to send one, you just 3x that multiplier. Now, if you got 5 of your friends to do it, and I'm talking about, and these don't have to be long, you know, but they have to know what's important. And so, if bringing back civic education is important to you as a parent, and you have to recognize whether or not it is or not, then you have to be willing to write a letter to the school board saying, I want to see this change. And they're probably going to say, well, it's a state ed code issue. Okay, well, I'm going to send a letter to the governor, to the state superintendent of education, and to the state school board, and to all of these people. You know, it may the same amount of effort that it takes in order to engage politicians that way is literally, it's just as much effort to complain about it to people who can't make a decision. So the question is, where are you going to put that energy? You know, it's like that meme that says it's hard being broke and it's hard. It says it's hard being fat and it's hard losing weight. Choose which hard you want. It's still hard, you know. It's still work.
Choose which one. Yeah.
You know, so the question is, where are you going to put your energy? Are you going to put your energy into talking to people who cannot change it? Or are you going to put that same energy into telling the people who can change it? You know, that's one. The second thing is that even just getting involved, man, I think, you know, volunteer. You know, even if it's one day a month, go volunteer at the senior center. Go volunteer at the local YMCA. Go volunteer, you know, I mean, most cities have a lot of opportunities to be able to volunteer. Volunteer as your kid's coach. You know what I mean? Just find something, because what you'll find is that just even in those areas where you're just giving of your time, you'd be amazed at what you get back. And I'm not talking about the butterflies in your stomach, but like you begin to understand the inner workings of whatever it is that you're in, right? So if you're volunteering as a coach, now you begin to understand, oh, well, now I see all the things that hold us back. I don't like that as a parent. How do I change that? They're going to say, well, the city council said, oh, I'm going to the city council meeting. And now you can say, now you can you can go to the meeting and give a comment and says, because you usually only get a minute or two. Hey, I'm Shannon Lawrence. I volunteered I'm a volunteer coach, coaching my kids' team. I got a real issue with the fact that this is happening, whatever it is. You know, I think you guys should look into it. But because you have that experience, now that testimony is not just a parent complaining, but it has some heft and some gravitas behind it. So that's one. And then once you do that, if you want to start, you know, helping out on campaigns, campaigns always need volunteers, and volunteers could do everything from, you know, maybe you pick an hour and you man the sign-in desk, right? Or you phone bank. Or you volunteer to deliver lawn signs, or just others. Campaigns can always use your help doing something. If you're a good cook, maybe you want to make a pan of spaghetti for the volunteers. But that's how people get to know you. Because think about this, right? If that candidate who you're supporting wins, you don't think they're gonna forget. You think they're gonna forget the people that helped them get there? They really don't. Because those are the folks. If you get commission spots, those are the people who are usually at the top of the list for consideration for different commissions and committees and all kind of other things. And why? Because it's not even so much. It's not even a pay for play. It's because these are the people who I know. These are the people that I know and that I know care about this, right? So, like you can, if you're into the arts, you go work on. I know in Atlanta, you got a new mayor coming up, right? There's going to be a new mayor. Pick a pony, volunteer for the campaign. They see you coming around, and eventually, I guarantee they're gonna be like, "So, what do you do? What are you interested?" Because that's just people are still people, right? You're gonna talk with somebody. Oh man, I need somebody in the Atlanta Arts Commission. Where's Ken at? Because they know if that's what you're into. And so it's not a matter of like it's not a matter of cronyism, but I'm gonna appoint people who I know, because that's the power of being an elected official. Is you get to make those decisions. So I mean, that's what you do to get involved, man. You just got to go volunteer.
That's deep, and that's the one thing that is funny, because that's what I'm saying. It's like that disconnect. That is the one thing that, like, when you look at, when I think about when I was a kid, people used to talk down on was volunteering. It's like, nah, get money now. Y'all can get money right now and do this and do that, and a volunteer, that's stupid. But what you're saying is that's actually the way you can get in to really make a difference in, like, because I feel like, we'll run out when it gets popular, like, we'll run out and vote for the president. But then you ask somebody who's running for city council, or who's on the city council, or who's this, then they don't know.
I mean, yeah, and it's deep, right? Because think about this, right? At the end of the day, we all live, whether you live in shelter or not, but we all have some place where we live, right? And because of where we live often determines where we get gas from, where we shop for food, what schools are in the neighborhood, what other places for us to spend money, what job opportunities may be there for me, if there are any parks in my neighborhood, even what streets are painted red or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
Guess who helps to make those decisions? Local politicians, city and county officials. We all want to vote for president, but the president doesn't determine if that tree outside your house gets trimmed, right, so if you get light or not. The president doesn't determine if that sidewalk in front of your house that Miss Jones keeps tripping over on her morning walk, whether or not that gets fixed or not. The president doesn't determine how much your property taxes are. The president doesn't determine who's the police chief to know if you're going to have a police chief like Daryl Gates or one that's a little passionate.
Right, because that's where it's really about. Like, I hear people talking about defunding the police and this, that, and the third, but I feel like that's, like, you're jumping way ahead of what you could really do to see change. You know what I mean? Right. Which would be to get involved in electing these, because, like, a police chief, that he's an elected official as well, right? Or he's appointed by an elected official, I should say.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. One way to think about it is that when it comes to law enforcement, chiefs are elected. Chiefs are appointed. Sheriffs are elected.
Right. Okay. So the sheriff, though, you elect the sheriff. They run. You elect them.
Right.
And then the chief is appointed. So either way it goes, it's the local vote that would control who's there, who's making these policies, and how they're enforcing it in your community.
Yep.
So when you, because to break it down, it really means that when you hear people crying out about these things in their communities, it's really a surefire sign that they just don't vote.
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it's a surefire sign that they don't vote. I think what it is, so there is a place for protest too. I think we got to be very clear about that. Is that protest also has a place in policy change, right? Especially when politicians are not listening to the vote, right? When they're not listening to what people say, then that's And it's funny because even during the civil rights movement, the protest was considered praying with our feet. All that marching, we're praying with our feet. You know what I mean? Even in the church, sometimes they say you pray with your vote. But the bottom line is that I think what's more a telltale sign that people aren't voting is when you look at turnout numbers. A lot of people just, a lot of people, they don't understand the process. Unfortunately, they, we don't talk about it enough to where people feel compelled to participate. And it's unfortunate. It really is. It's really unfortunate because the very people that often are impacted the most in a negative way are the people who don't participate. And it's just it's unfortunate. But that's what happens. But even like when it comes down to issues like defund the police, that was a bigger issue around just general police reform. And the reason why it was a bigger issue is largely because of qualified immunity. The concept of qualified immunity, which basically exempts police officers, just in a very basic way, it exempts police officers from any legal responsibility if a previous police officer anywhere else was found not guilty of whatever the accused crime that cop committed was. And so that's a bigger issue because you're talking about, a Supreme Court. You're talking about a bigger legal judicial issue that has to be changed in the courts. But also it could be changed with by law with Congress, right? Which is, so when you saw all the national protests, what do each of those cities have in common where people are protesting? Each one of those cities has a congressional representative, right? And so so as much as the protests were aimed at, just general society and maybe even local city halls, local congressional people also heard the cries of the people because they vote for them too. So.
Gotcha. So when they protested, basically they, instead of going since there was a breakdown locally that was going on, when they protested, they went above and got Congress attention. Basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it definitely got the world's attention, right? Because now think about this, man. Like, law enforcement agencies and elected officials around the world they're beginning to reimagine what policing and what law enforcement looks like in their local communities. Because it has been systemically stacked up against poor people of color, black men in particular. And this is across the board. And I'm not saying that cops are bad. Just like, let's just call it what it is, man. The overwhelming vast majority of police officers in this country, and I'm not defending them, nor am I propping them up. I'm just stating the fact. The vast majority of them will never fire their weapon except for on the range in order for them to continue to train, right? And also the vast majority of them, they do see it as a profession of service. Like, they really do want to serve, and they go back to their communities where they want to serve. Like, a lot of them end up serving as cops in the communities in which they grew up in because they really did want to be that superhero they saw police officers and firefighters as when they were kids, right? You have a few bad apples, and unfortunately, there's a culture within policing or within law enforcement. There's a culture, and it's a quasi military culture that is really rooted in like this brothers in arms concept in the military, in particular from Vietnam, of, you know, we're all in a foxhole together, and either we all gonna live or we all gonna die kind of mentality, and then they take that mentality to Western. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, like apply it here. Like, yeah, gotcha.
oh man, little John just trying to go get some now laters. Like he's not a criminal.
Yeah,
And even if he did, it's just some now laters.
yeah,
Trust me, like I'm sure if you talk to him stern enough, John, who's 8, ain't gonna steal no more now laters. You ain't gotta shoot him. You know what I'm saying?
These are facts. But yeah, so yeah, it's and that's just what I'm trying to get at is how effective is it like to be involved in who's being elected, the sheriff, and how you vote for the person that appoints the chief. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to just try to really change, because I feel like if we were more active locally, we would see more change like quickly. The things we want to see with them quickly, especially like because I have a gripe myself. Like one of the gripes I have right now is that I feel like in Atlanta, in the community I live in, I feel like there are certain practices that go on, like with businesses that I don't like the local corner store, stuff like this. Like they're charging extra if you use your card. Like they're charging you, they're making you pay their terminal fees over and over and over and over again. You know what I mean? Like all of this kind of stuff. Like, and I feel like that's something that could be dealt with. I'm not quite sure where, but I'm thinking like, I don't know, maybe I need to write some letters, you know what I mean, to like some constituents or something and see what's going on here. Why are they allowed to do this? Because when I go to other communities, I don't see that.
Right. And one of the things that I would say, I mean, and certainly, I mean, a local city council, they have the authority to be able to ban the charging of fees, right? I mean, same as sales taxes, same as taxes are different in each community. Business regulations are as well, right? And there are two ways in order to really address it. One is you can go directly to the city council and you ask them to do it. Or the other thing, I think you have it in Georgia, it's called a ballot initiative. And that's generally where you get put on the ballot a ban or something. So you would want to ban the charging of terminal fees at any establishment in this particular community, right? And the way you do it is, and in general, is you gotta look at your state law to see what the requirements are. But it usually requires a certain amount of signatures, like on a petition, to get on the ballot. And then once you get on the ballot, then the people vote for it, yes or no. Like, I agree with this or I don't agree with it. But, that's where you take it to the people, and then you turn it into your local city clerk. And you have to just check with the local city clerk to see what their thresholds are. And then you get on the ballot, and then now you got a campaign. Now you got to get enough people to vote your way.
And you go campaign for it. That's where you see like the vote this on proposition that and stuff like that.
Then also, I mean, and in that campaign, I mean, you're gonna want to get influencers behind you. You gotta probably establish a political action committee and it's all kind of different. I mean, it's not easy, but the process is not that difficult, but it is hard work and it's very focused work,
Got you. So, do you think you'll run for office again, like in any capacity?
I don't know, man. I mean, I'll be 44 this year. Still got the time. I don't know.
Because I'm sure, like, 44 is right about starting age, I would think, for like actual like elected officials.
Yeah, I mean, and you do want your government to be as representative of the people as possible. So you want people that really do come from different walks of life. I think I tried when I was a youngin. Didn't work out. Um, Over the last 20 years or so, been able to really have some really good experiences, some good life experiences. Raising a family. Sending kids to college, doing homework. I mean, like doing actual adulting stuff, an experience I didn't have when I first ran.
Uh-huh.
I think it will make me a much more rounded candidate, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
Speak to a lot more different things. Um, I don't know though, man. I think if I do, I wouldn't do it within the next 10 years. My youngest son will be, he's 8, so I want to at least let him get out of high school.
Uh-huh.
And who knows, man? Maybe I'll be back on Think New announcing my congressional run or something. I don't know.
Right. That's what's up, man. That'll be
But
dope, though.
I don't know. We'll
That,
see.
that'll be dope, though. But until then, you plan to continue helping other people with their campaigns and to just
Yeah.
groom them into being better candidates and stuff like that. I think
Yeah.
that's dope because I mean, how many other like are there other firms like that in the county or how does that work?
I mean, you have a lot of firms that do more. They're more specified, like on government relations and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a whole lot,
Mm-hmm.
right? Government policy. It is a very nuanced thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple of organizations that do candidate training. They're more national organizations that do. I guess there's a couple of local ones. My just a shameless plug. If someone's interested in running, go to my website. Throw it in the bio if you want to.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put all of it in the info.
The website is www.yesicanlead.com. And then the consulting firm is www.inkwellcg.com. But I mean, like, to be honest with you, Chad, our communities are in dire need of people who really understand and really want to serve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our communities are, because we're not engaged, I don't think we are, sometimes we could be better,
Mm-hmm.
There are people in our communities who I think would be who could be served a lot better if they really understood their piece in the process. My goal is to be able to educate all of those people. When I was a union organizer, one of the things that I would say to our members is I come to work every day with the goal to make myself unemployed. Meaning, not to lose my, but if we organize everybody into a union, then there's nobody left to organize into a union. So I'm hitting the pavement every single day to make sure that I'm getting as many people to come into the light, so to speak, as possible until there's literally no one left, right? And that's the way I feel about educating our folks and getting our folks involved in this process, man. One thing that we know that's going to be sure is that as long as the United States of America is a democracy, every 2 to 4 years there is going to be an election. So potentially there's going to be someone who's been doing it and you like it, or somebody totally new and you're going to see if you like it, right? But the bottom line is that every 2 to 4 years there is going to be an election. And it's incumbent of us to really just see that as normal as every 4 years renewing your driver's license, or every month paying your license. It just has to be what we do. But here's the difference. We know that we can't drive unless we get a license, which is why we do it. we know that we'll be sitting in the dark if we don't pay our light bill, which is why we do it. It's a harder connection for some people to understand why we need to vote.
Right.
But I think hopefully I've been able to help kind of shed light on it. It really does have everything to do with how much taxes you pay in your community, to what schools are in your community, to how the police behave in your community. All of that really comes down to voting. And being mad, let me tell you something, man. Being mad has never changed one piece of.
Right.
I could sit here and be mad and complain. We could listen to all these people all day long talk about the system corrupting. But what have they done for you? It don't matter. None of that stuff matters. At the end of the day is what we going to do now.
Exactly.
We got an opportunity in front of what we going to do now. And if we get it wrong, you know what? We messed that up. But in 4 years, we got a chance to make it right. You know, or recall the people. I mean, right now, you know, here in LA, you know, people didn't like the DA, so they voted her out. It was like, nah, we want something new. We want something different. They got dude in 6 months later, like, I don't know. I don't know about this one. So they doing a recall. I mean, it's always a chance to correct it. But one of the things that you can't do is that, you know, it's like being in school, right? You can't erase a math problem you don't write down. You got to participate, you know, in order for you to correct it. So.
True. That's what's up. That's dope, man. Like, I'm glad that you definitely came on here, because even myself, I know I'm one of those people. Like, I didn't vote for a long time. It took me till, you know, I got older, adult, you know what I mean? I started voting a little bit more. And even then it was like, okay, I'll vote president, and then it's like, you know what I mean? But it took me a while to understand how effective local policy is, being involved locally and voting all the way up. Like, don't just stop locally, but vote all the way up. That's like our actual voice. That's the only voice we have right now. How do you feel? Like, I'm here. I don't like this, and I like this, and, you know, that kind of thing. And I think that it's hard for us to hear it, because it's not a lot of us that we know that speak to us about it. Like, you know, I might not be able to understand Hannity and Combs so much, but if some other people in our communities that were into politics, maybe we could talk to, could break it down, maybe it'll be more understood. You know what I mean? And hopefully with this podcast, some people will see it. Because my audience, I know my audience is very diverse. It's some people who really know what's going on, like, and then there's others who probably don't pay no attention to politics. But I think collectively, what you just broke down, I think that's a lot, like, for people to understand and start to move on. And from here, we can maybe start seeing some change in the next couple years.
I hope so, man. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah, definitely. For
real,
man.
Because our kids need it. Trust me.
Yeah, and again, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. On the podcast, it's Think New Podcast. It's new. This is my 15th episode, and I'm trying to get it out here. We talk about all kinds of different topics and stuff like that. And I would love to actually have you come back, because what I'm gonna start doing is having like more like roundtable kind of discussions, where I can have different types of guests come together from, I guess, give different perspectives. You know what I mean? And
I'm done with it anytime, man.
Yeah, that'll be dope, man.
Before the next campaign starts back up, because
right, because I'm like, when I hit you, like, yeah, I'm chilling. And I hit you again. Wait, we got campaign. Election day is tomorrow. I'm like, oh shit. All right, that's what's up. But yeah, man, we'll definitely
anytime, man.
Get it together, man. Yeah, man, I definitely appreciate you coming on here. This has been dope, man. And salute to you and everything you're doing. Inkwell.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you plug it again. It's www.inkwellcg.com.
Yep.
And then yesyoucanlead.com.
Yes, I can lead.
Yesyoucanlead.com.
Yep. Yeah, I can lead is a acronym for Instructional Candidate Leadership. So
Instructional counter leads. ICL. I can lead. Gotcha.
yep. I'll shoot you those links though.
Okay, yeah, that'll be dope. And then I'll just throw them in the description so y'all will be able to see that in the comment. I mean the description box below. And yeah, man, stay in touch. And if y'all running the campaign, get in touch with them. Otherwise, you need to find out who's running, what they about, do some investigation. Don't just go out there voting for anything, anybody. Find out what's going on, what the bill means, what's it gonna do, and then cast an educated vote.
Right.
Yeah.
Know the process.
Know the process. But yeah, man. That's dope. Definitely. I'm gonna be at you, man.
Yeah,
Once again,
for sure.
much love, cuz.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get at you in a minute. I appreciate you coming on here, man. We're gonna share it around, get it out here.
For sure. Looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, and by the way, I spoke to Scoob the other day. Shout out to Scooby.
Yeah.
He hit me up.
God.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah, you got to get him on, man.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I haven't talked to him about it yet, but I'm gonna ask him.
Yeah, I saw you had Ish on not long ago too.
Yeah, I had Ish on there. You know, Ish the man out there with the jewelry, man, for real. Like he do his thing. So yeah.
I still don't remember how we all met.
I don't. He told me he met me through you, and I'm like,
I know.
I guess I did, but I don't remember when or how, where, nothing.
It's just ended up being in the crew somehow. It's like one day you pop up, you know, it wasn't even like no intro. It was just like, oh, that's just Ish. It's like he's always been there.
Yeah, he's just there. Yeah, he pop up. But I remember he always been doing the same thing, making jewelry and being Ish.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, I will holler at you later on, man. I appreciate you letting me come on this, man. This is dope.
Man,
Anytime.
well, definitely, man. Till next time.
For sure.
Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Shandub. SW1. But not on the real though, man. That's you know, Shannon Lawrence. You need to tap in. I'm glad he came on here and chopped it up with me. I think it's been a great interview, a dope episode. Cause most people just expect me, I guess, to talk about, you know, music stuff or some sort of something connected to that, but that's not necessarily what this podcast is about. This podcast is about, like, think new. Like, it's time to think new. It's time to open our minds up, explore different topics, you know, and get down to, you know, what I call the real, like what's really going on. Like, how do we, you know, we all know who Barack Obama is, but unless you're in politics, you may not truly understand what it takes to become a Barack Obama. You know what I mean? And I know Shannon is a person that understands what it takes to become a Barack Obama, or to become a Condoleezza Rice, or these type, you know, to hold these types of positions and offices and things like that. And if we don't get active in our communities, if we don't get active in politics, if we keep holding this attitude of, you know, oh, they corrupt and I don't vote and I don't do this and do that, then basically we're gonna lose. We're gonna lose as a community, as a people, as an individual. We're all gonna lose. And so I hope that this interview episode, everything inspired some to get out and learn more. I know we are looking to have a new mayor. I've been kind of checking it out. I'm not sure if he's running or not, but I'm hoping he does. I was supporting him the last time, but Kwanzaa Hall, I'm really, hoping he runs again. If not, You know, I'm gonna check out who's running, but if he does, I'm gonna look into, you know, like Shannon said, we need to look into supporting, volunteering, seeing what's, you know, what's what, how we can contribute. You know what I mean? Maybe I could throw a free concert for the staff or something. but yeah, it would be dope if I could have him on the podcast. That's a thought. Maybe one of my viewers know, cause he active in the hip hop. He'd be around. I've seen him. I don't know him personally like that, but I know I have met him a few times and whatnot. So maybe one of my viewers knows him or can get in contact with him and see if he'd be interested in coming on here. Especially if I can get him to come on with Shannon and we can all kind of chop it up. That'd be hot, you know. But yeah. Till next time, man. We up out of here. It's the effing Side Street Kid. Think New. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share the podcast. So, you know, a friend of mine came through the other day and said, we don't need to say support no more. It's like people run from that word or something. Nobody wants to support Wham. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, because nobody supports anything. But, you know, it's not about supporting. It's about, you know, just being real. Like, if you watch the podcast, if you like it, if you support the idea of it, I know it's long. You don't have to watch the whole thing at one time. It's long because it takes this amount of time to get through these kind of discussions sometimes. To get, like, to the nitty gritty and where people don't feel rushed and trying to explain and talk fast and everything. We want to know what's really going on. We want to be able to lay the game out flat. You can always watch some, come back to it where you left off, that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's cool. It's all fine and dandy. Plus, I make clips. I try to pull out clips of little interesting tidbits that I can share online as well. So, you know, you can watch those and then come back and find other stuff. But yeah, we out here, man. Just think me. I'm play my sound effects because I got them and I know how they work now.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Sunrise man. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Sunrise man.
I'm gonna come with some shit because I could program shit too. That'll be hot. And start really, you know, whatever. But if y'all watching the podcast and y'all ain't liking, sharing, and subscribing, and you being a hater, I got that. But yeah, Side Street Kid, the effing Think New, and I'm out.
The troublesome soul, body covered in gold. The flow is eureka. Smoke more than I need to give me a reason. Don't give me the beast. And you get that chef, I'll be your green like a vegan. I'm black and I'm proud on James Brown. Just thinking out loud like Ed Sheeran. No hero, just me. So I talk soup like me so, and back it up like freak so. Leave me be or things blow. I give the pinnacle, mini go brag about selling dope, brand of a meaningful. All that they seem to do is a legit.
I'm just a fool. I'm just a fool. I'm just a fool. I'm just a fool.
Writing these songs ain't righting my wrongs, bearing my soul every word that I'm speaking. Give me a reason, balling all week, not just for the week. And now what I smoke so foul, the aroma so strong that it's constantly breathing. Headed to the top, ain't nothing that can stop, but the bottom is where I begin. We can pretend we ain't seeing who's that in my window peeking, peeping in on all my secrets. Who's that round that corner creeping, thinking they gon' catch me sleeping, but they'll never catch me though. It's the F and ain't no question, no.
I'm just a fool.